Hello guys, welcome to the course of Level 8 API Development Tutorial. This is part 6. Inside this video, we will see the concept of models inside Laravel. So if I back to folder structure, in the last video, we had discussed the concept about migrations. So if I go inside database, migrations folder, so inside last video, this is the migration file what we had created, and also we have updated inside this schema method. We have added few columns like name, email, age, phone number and gender, and successfully we have migrated this students table into database. Now inside this video we will see the concept of models. So what basically models are? So models are those files inside Laravel application which is going to interact with the database tables. By naming convention, as we can see here, the table name called students is plural. But when we create a model of this students table, the name of the model should be singular. So if I open a gedit, let's say a slider, so by naming convention, if we are creating tables inside Laravel, that should be plural. So as we can see that we had created a table called students, but inside this video we will create a model which is going to interact with this students table, and the name should be singular called student. So when we create a model, the singular name, automatically Laravel understand that this model is going to connect with this plural name. Something like a student is connected with the students table. If suppose we have like employees table, so when we create a model with the name something, let's say employee, automatically Laravel bind this model with this database table. But what will happen if suppose we have a different table name and we have a different model name? So don't worry at all, because inside our model we have some member variables. So inside our model we have a protected table variable. So by the help of that table variable, we will configure that table name inside that variable. So we will assign different table name with the different model name. So we will understand this scenario. In this case, the name is singular, model name is singular, but the table name is plural. So inside this application, as we know that we have a model, means we have a table called students, so we are going to create a model. So as we had discussed that models are those files which is going to interact with the database tables. So when we operate with any operations like create, update, delete, read, means by means of any operation through the database, then models should be used. Models are the responsible file which is going to connect application with the database and handles all about the input and output of data. So let's create a model. So we will create a model inside Laravel application by means of two ways. Either we can create the manual, go inside app and models folder. When we create any model, it will go and store inside this models folder. So this is the manual way, by going to this models folder and creating a model file. But we will use the artisan command. So here, if I type the command called php artisan, pressing enter. Now if we go inside this make command palette, here we have the section of make command palette. Now inside this make command, here we have the command called make model, which is going to create a new eloquent model class. So we will use this php artisan make model command to create a new eloquent model class. So what will be the syntax? Simply if I type php artisan, let's say make model, and as we know that we have a table called students, so we need to create the singular name of that table, and that is something called student. So when we press enter, model created successfully. So when we create any model, it will go and store inside this app and models folder. So when we reload this, again go, and as we can see that we have a file called student.php in which we have a class and there are some packages by default automatically imported. So when we will do any query by means of students table, we will use this student model. To understand all about the variables available for this model class, simply go inside this official website of Laravel, that is laravel.com. Click here in the inside documentation. Go here inside this Eloquent ORM. Simply click on that. Click on getting started. Now all the detailed information about our member variables of any model class which is associated with, let's say, table name, primary key and several variables. So simply to understand all the concept in detail, go here inside this. If I scroll down, here we have Eloquent model convention. Now this is the model what we had seen. So in case if suppose we have a different table name, simply we have a table protected variable inside model. So when we see this is the model called flight, so by naming convention the table name should be plural, which is flights, but inside this case the table name is something different. So by specifying this table variable as a protected access specifier, we can pass our own table name. Now next, by default Laravel understands that when we create any table, the primary key is by default the ID column of that table. So here inside this students, as we know that by default ID is a primary key and auto increment. But in case let's say that we have some different table in which the ID is something like student underscore ID, employee underscore ID. So how can we tell Laravel that this time we don't have ID column as a primary key? We have something different column name. So as far as we had seen for the table, so for the primary key, we have one more variable called protected primary key. These are predefined member variables. So here inside this primary key, simply we need to write the name of the primary key, what we had done or specified inside our table. So inside this documentation, we will see about each variables. Let's say that this time this ID column is a primary key which is a type of big int. But in case in some tables if we have the column which is primary key of a string type, so simply we have another variable inside model class that is protected key type, and inside that key type we need to pass the data type of the primary key. So inside this documentation we can find the complete guide of Eloquent model. So in the next video we will see the concept of seeders. By the help of seeders file, we will seed some dummy data inside our database table. So inside that seeder concept, we will use the concept of migration as well as the concept of model. So for this video session guys, thank you for watching and have a great day.